championship. Let's take it.
Yes, great. Yes, great.
Hello and welcome to the Thresher Football Show. I'm Dan Page alongside head football coach at Bethel College, A.B. Stokes. Bethel College picks up their 6th win of the season with a victory at Bethany by the final of 27-3. But if you watch the first half, it was 3-3 at halftime, and a lot of things, both teams feeling each other out. Of course, a lot of penalties in the game, so many different things. But nonetheless, the Threshers have a huge fourth quarter to pull away for the victory, 27-3 against Bethany. Picking up the 6th win, which guarantees, Coach, you guys have a winning season this year.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and I think you said something like for the 5th season in a row or something like that?
Yeah, since 2019.
College record, something like that?
2019, 20, 21, 22, and 23. 5 straight seasons of winning seasons.
That's good. Well, I'm glad we could accomplish that.
It's been a rocky year. Definitely has its ups and downs and its peaks and valleys. No question. A lot of things you didn't necessarily plan for, and a lot of teaching moments, like a lot of life moments. And it's never short of the drama, I guess you could say, that you see, from the outside looking in for the fans and stuff, and not just in the games that they see. There's so many things that you and your coaches have to manage, but nonetheless, you guys get the victory against Bethany. It really tested your team that first half. Yeah,
it did, and I mean it's one of those things where the first half nothing was really going right as far as offensively or penalty wise. That was on the defensive side of the ball, but they kind of made up for it. Had a great goal line stop, and obviously held them to 3. But we got after we scored, we got a penalty on an extra point that gave them a short field on the kickoff. Then a penalty on the kickoff, which was crazy. It was holding on the kicking team, so it was crazy. But anyway, so we had that, and then. They made a couple of plays to get in the field goal range to tie it up right before the half ended, and it was just one of those things where it's like, look, man, the worst thing we can do is start to point fingers or implode from the inside. It's like, hey, man, look. We just need to do our job. We really felt as if we could, the defense was playing well enough that if we could get a score on the board that, we could win. And at the end of the day, we didn't care by how much we win, and that's any week. Like, it's except this week, obviously. Yeah. But we didn't really care about how much we won that game. We just wanted to win and give ourselves a chance to kind of play for something this upcoming week. We were hoping to be able to play for a playoff spot, which it's a possibility, but the numbers that we'd have to put up are a little improbable. But we also have an opportunity to play for a 4th share of a conference, at least divisional title. So we have an opportunity to play for that. So that's just where we're at, and we were able to get through that game, and that end of the third going into the fourth quarter, start to do some pretty good things in the pass game with Ben, who was getting his first college start. So I was definitely happy to see that.
Yeah, he definitely adjusted, and so many people can be critical, but just his first real game of getting, you're the starter, you're going into it, and he knows what he's capable of doing. It's just getting all the timing and things, having to adjust to where the pressure was, and so many different things, and so late in the season that's kind of hard to do sometimes for a passing quarterback, but I think he managed to get in rhythm, and obviously he threw for 298 yards in the game, so that was huge from his standpoint. And But yeah, I mean, I think he adjusted well, and all the other guys knew as soon as they could get the ball that they could make big things happen. Despite maybe a couple drops here and there, but when you throw the ball that many times, you're gonna have drop footballs in that game. So, but he definitely stepped up for you guys and played a very, very big role in the win against Bethany. So, again, Ben Schmidt getting the start for the Threshers at QB against the Swedes. And again, he threw for 298 yards and 3 touchdowns. Three touchdowns in the game. And the Threshers kicked 2 field goals from Carson Sauceda. In the second quarter, he made a 25-yarder, and in the third quarter, a 32-yarder to cap off drives there in the north end zone. And the Threshers were up 6-3 before a 21-point fourth quarter, including touchdown passes from Ben Schmidt to Trayvon Madison of 32 yards, a 5-yard touchdown pass from Ben Schmidt to Kenyon McMillan, which was set up by a Cade Miller interception in the game, and he nearly took it back for a touchdown. What would have been his third pick six of the year.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the last touchdown for the Threshers came with under 5 minutes left when Trayvon Madison caught a 28-yard touchdown pass from Ben Schmidt. That one, he was just flat out wide open. He literally caught it in the end zone versus the kind of slant pattern that he ran. I don't know if it was necessarily a slant. It definitely was an adjustment to catch the ball where he did and then just take it, toward the left sideline and take it in for the touchdown for his first one. But Kenyon was kind of wide open. The defense kind of fell over in their pursuit in coverage, and he was wide open for his touchdown as well. So the Threshers put up 27 points in the ball game, and 24 of those in the second half. Let's look at the numbers a little bit more. Of course, Ben Schmidt completed 18 passes for 298 yards, 3 touchdowns. Did throw an interception, but it was early in the game. Sacked a couple times, but did have a long completion of 52 yards. Throwing the football, and he found Trayvon Madison for a 52-yarder in the ball game. Rushing, it's kind of interesting. The Threshers rushed for just 38 yards and passed for 298, and it's been a long time since the pass game has done that in this offense, of course. But do whatever you can to win the football game in that scenario. Yeah,
you have to play to the strengths. When you have Ben, his strength is pass first, run second. And when you play, you take what the defense gives you.
Yeah.
They played a lot of man coverage. They put a lot in the box, and that's why we struggle to run the ball. And so when that happens, if you have the ability to pass the ball, then you can have the kind of day that Ben had. So.
His leading receiver in the game was Trayvon Madison with 7 catches for 139 yards and 2 touchdown grabs. And then Mario Quintero had 2 catches for 47 yards. He had a nice 25-yard catch over his shoulder.
Yes, he did.
Down the sideline. That was very impressive because the coverage was tight there, but he did a great job. Myron Randall, 3 catches for 43 yards. King Christensen on a screen play had a nice 31-yard reception as well that really opened up and just kind of made that running back a possibility to catch the ball in the passing game.
Yep.
And then Jacob Reyes, a few catches to build up towards scoring drives, 3 catches for 23 yards. Larry Cherry with the catch for 10 yards. And, of course, Kenyon McMillan, a touchdown catch from 5 yards in the game for the Threshers on offense as they put up those numbers. On the defensive side of the football, it seemed like Tate Siebold was all everywhere. He had 10 tackles in the game, 4 of those solo. Had 1 sack and 2 tackles for loss, and, of course, a forced fumble. Cade Miller had 7 tackles for the Threshers, including an interception return for 25 yards. Doug Grider, 5 tackles in the game. Roderick Edwards, it says Larry Cherry. It's Jarek Woodley on the stat sheet. And it's not Tucker Smith either. It's Tristan Berger. The double numbers get some people when we go on the road.
Yeah, for sure.
4 tackles each for those guys. Robin Neely with an interception as well in the game, and Brendan Sanders one in the first half. He had a great adjustment, did a great job of getting to the receiver and then just, almost like boxing, like posting up in a basketball basketball game. He did a great job getting an interception there. I remember just going through the highlights. Frank Driscoll had some good hits in the game. Denzel Dixon had a couple plays when they tried to do a jet sweep that he made tackles almost on consecutive plays, in fact, in the game. So that was really important for him in it. And I'm trying to think of anything else that I can, but on defense, you guys are able to play a very solid game and really kept you guys in it there when it was nothing to nothing, and then 3-3, 6-3 kind of a game.
For sure. Yeah, they played a great game.
Yeah, certainly. And as far as the Bethany offense goes, they threw for 136 and rushed for only 21 yards in the game. So that's pretty good. The Threshers typically been good against the run game on defense, probably the last 5 years or so. But nonetheless, Bethel gets the win 27-3 over Bethany. Coach, before I get to some scores from this past week, any final thoughts from that game?
I know, man. I'm just, again, like I said, the way the guys came out and continued to play in a tight game is that's what we want. That's what we want. We just want guys who want to play and they want to do it the right way. And I definitely feel like the second half they definitely did that.
Yeah, definitely had to overcome some adversity, some difficulties that they couldn't necessarily control. Close to 20 penalties in the game.
A lot of penalties.
And that was something that it's very hard to dig yourself out of that hole, even when you may not be guilty for some of them. So that's just a vague statement. But again, Carson Sauceda 2 field goals in the game. Jackson Walker had 5 punts in the game. Did a great job as always in the punting game for you guys. You have to imagine it. He has to get at least a handful of nominations for conference honors for his ability to punt the football this year.
Yeah, and I think Sauceda and his field goals as well. The crazy thing is I don't think he's missed one that's come off of his foot.
Right.
If it wasn't like blocked or a botch snap or something like that, I don't think that he's missed. Just missed. So both of those guys in the special teams, man, they're doing a great job.
Certainly, as the Threshers win it 27-3 over Bethany, and the Threshers continue to have that streak against the Swedes for 5 consecutive years, victories over Bethany. Other games in the conference, boy, it was a great weekend to follow. Football in the conference. Let's start in the Bissell division. St. Mary at home against Tabor. The Spires win 40-31 in that ball game, and St. Mary playing at home, and then they'll get another home game this coming week. We'll tell you about that later in the show. Avila wins at home 41-10 over Sterling.
Oh,
they put up some big numbers against the Warriors in that one, 41-10, and then the big game in the Bissell division was Ottawa hosting Kansas Wesleyan, and did I go to single overtime or double overtime?
I think they said double overtime.
Double overtime. Ottawa pulls it out 27-24.
Wow.
And Ottawa in the driver's seat to win the Bissell division, and talk about a turnaround Coach Nick Davis has had since last year. I believe they only won 2 games last year.
They won 2 games.
And this year getting his team to the national playoffs is very impressive.
Yes.
Yeah, and a lot of people, if you ask anybody from their side of things, it started with the game against Bethel probably. That really gave them the fire they needed going forward.
Yep.
And then that rounded out the Bissell division. So Ottawa, Avila, and St. Mary get wins in the Bissell division. In the Kessinger division, in Wichita, McPherson falls 66-17 at the game played at Riverfront Stadium. They had a chance to go up 2 scores early.
Really?
But some turnovers really hurt them.
Yeah.
And whenever you can do that, it's going to be difficult to dig yourself out of that. They gave up 66 points in that one, and. So interesting as far as we follow the divisional action. And then a big game in Winfield as Southwestern hosted Evangel, and this one went right down to the last 2 minutes of the game. Southwestern goes up 14-10, and then when 41 seconds left, a wide open pass down the middle, kind of a post route for Evangel, and they get the touchdown and the victory, 17-14. With 40 seconds left. My goodness.
Wild. That was wild. Yeah, for sure.
Because if Evangel loses that game, it's just like everything implodes. Like it's chaos.
Yes, big time.
It's flat out chaos in the Kessinger division. So, of course, the Threshers getting set to play Evangel this week in Nixa, Missouri. You can watch it on the KCAC network, a 1 o'clock kick from Nixa, Missouri. Evangel actually plays at a high school stadium nearby. They do have a field, a really nice turf field on their campus, but playing at a bigger stadium there nearby in Nixa, Missouri, while Evangel University is in Springfield. So again, the Threshers win 27-3 against Bethany and go to 6-4 on the year, and a chance to, really have a chance to go up against a very good undefeated Evangel team that's 10-0 on the season this coming week on the road for a long road trip to Missouri. And we're going to talk about the Threshers and the Evangel Valor here in the second half of our show. But first, a break here on the Thresher Football Show. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll be right back.
Thresher fans, get ready for the upcoming school year by becoming a member of the Bethel Booster Club. Your membership impacts all athletic programs by paying for experiences last year, such as the Threshbees Award Show, postseason experiences and postseason tickets, the Hall of Fame banquet, enhanced live streaming equipment, new banners in Thresher Gym, equipment for the Gearing Hall weight room, windscreens at Ward Tennis Center, and Thresher Stadium. Be a part of Thresher Athletics history and a booster club that is living out the Bethel College Athletics mission by creating life-changing experiences for our student athletes through 4 levels of membership plus parent and young alumni specials. Athletics is an integral part of the Bethel College experience, and thanks to your support, we look forward to growing our success for the future. Visit BethelThreshers.com/booster club to become a member today.
Welcome back to the Thresher Football Show. I'm Dan Page alongside head football coach at Bethel College, A.B. Stokes. Bethel College 6-4 on the year after 10 games on the season. They've really flown by as they approach their final game of the regular season in game number 11, which in the past years wasn't always guaranteed. If you scheduled a non-conference game or something like that, you would maybe get an 11th game, but that guaranteed now with the current system in the KCAC as far as scheduling goes. And the Threshers hit the road for the first time to Evangel. And the Threshers taking on the 10-0 Evangel Valor. Evangel number 9 in the NAIA rankings. And it is their senior day, and I'm sure they will be ready to go and not wanting to overlook anybody. Some teams we've seen in the past, whether it was this conference or the NAIA, you go into that last game and you think, well, this won't hurt even if we drop it, kind of a thing.
Right.
Things don't go their way, and they can live with an embarrassing loss because they're still going to get into the playoffs in some scenarios like that. I'm not saying that's happening this week, but there's been a history of that within recent years at the NAIA level. But should be an exciting game nonetheless. Bethel taking on Evangel. I really don't know a lot of the history behind the series as far as how many times or if you guys have played against Evangel before in the program history. You'd have to really research that to get that information. But the Valor and the Threshers at 1 o'clock from Nixa, Missouri. And they'll have their broadcast team on it from Nixa, Missouri, in the stadium there that they play in. It's a all-gray field with a little bit of red accents there. So in Nixa, Missouri. So it should be a fun environment for the Threshers on the road. And I don't know a lot of players on your team. Their family members will probably be following there because for some of them it may be their last football game ever. And so nonetheless they want to hold on to those memories ahead of this week's game. Before we get to Bethel versus Evangel, kind of looking at the numbers and things, let's get to some of the games coming up this week. We'll start in the Bissell Division. The team that arguably sealed their fate with the Bissell Division Championship is Ottawa, and they host Tabor. Again, Ottawa playing their final 2 games of the regular season at home, so that's definitely big for them. Kansas Wesleyan hosting Sterling, and that'll be in Salina at a 1 o'clock kick. And then St. Mary playing Evangel in Leavenworth. most of those 1 o'clock kicks when this time of year. So that's the set for the Bissell division. For the Kessinger division, Southwestern host McPherson, and McPherson trying to bounce back after giving up 60 points last week, and Southwestern with a healthy Braden Howell back, last week, and helped them, almost pull off the upset against Evangel. So we'll see what happens in that game from Winfield. McPherson at Southwestern, and Bethany goes on the road to Wichita, and they have a tough task in front of them, and it'll see what happens there. They're going to have a difficult opponent in that football game. And, of course, Bethel on the road at Evangel from Eagle Stadium in Nixa, Missouri. So that's the conference slate for a Veterans Day this Saturday. And we definitely salute all the veterans that have served in the military, whatever branch of the military service, as well as active duty and reserves. We appreciate all of you, your sacrifices you're making in your lives, and you're maybe a sacrifice in your family that you know of and is personal and big thing for you. We do appreciate all of those service personnel and everything they do for the United States. So, a Veterans Day football game between Bethel and Evangel coming up this week. And again, Evangel 10-0 on the year, Bethel 6-4. Let's look at the Valor a little bit, averaging 414 yards of total offense per contest. It's 30 points per game, 230 yards passing, and 184 yards rushing per contest for the Valor. Their quarterback, R.J. Wakely, has passed for 2,214 yards and 23 touchdowns on the year on 168 completions through the 10 games that he has played. He's a redshirt senior quarterback for the Valor, and he's also rushed in the ground game for about 4 touchdowns and 306 yards. So definitely can use that as an opportunity to take off. Eric Williams, their sophomore running back, has 8 rushing touchdowns and nearly 700 yards rushing on the season. They also rotate in Sammy Robinson in the ground game with just about 400 yards rushing and a touchdown on the year. Kyle Cummings, a freshman, as well as Jaden Hart and Matt Allen amongst their touchdown scorers on the ground this year. In the receiving core for the Valor, Dylan Hester amongst their top receivers, 846 yards receiving on 61 catches. That's 6 catches per contest with 10 touchdown grabs on the year. Brock Lyle, a freshman, with 43 receptions for 594 yards and 6 touchdowns. And Paul Summers with 229 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. Eric Williams out of the backfield, their running back, has 4 touchdown catches out of the backfield as well. And DeJuan Springer, the other touchdown in the receiving game for the Valor offense. Usually when you do this well, Coach, you got to have a pretty good defense or offensive line. Yeah. And no doubt the Valor have that.
Yes, they do. Obviously you don't go 10-0 by accident. You know what I mean? And they're definitely a really good football team, very well coached, don't make a lot of mistakes, and they're good at what they do. So, I'm excited. I'm excited to get there and see how we stack up against them.
Yeah, they've seemingly made some mincemeat of the KCAC after coming over from the Heart of America. They had 2 losses in their program last year in the Heart of America Conference that kept them out of the playoffs, but they come to the KCAC and instantly make an impact with a 10-0 start to their season. Who knows after Game 11 what will be the record on that? But
10-1.
Well, I know you would say that, Coach. I mean, no question. But just kind of painting the picture for them. I mean, they feel pretty good. They feel like this was the best move ever, switching to the KCAC from the Heart of America Conference. But it does allow the conference to guarantee themselves 2 postseason bids, and KCAC might have just 1 top 20 team when it's said and done, and that's not a jab at anybody. It's just how the rankings fall, and if anybody wants to know how the rankings work and can explain it to me, I would definitely entertain your conversation, because after the last few years, I have no idea how the NAIA top 25 works. But they definitely taking the KCAC by storm and looking to accomplish the divisional championship outright this coming week. On defense for the Valor, switching things up a little bit, Bradley Myers, their top tackler, with 127 on the season. He has 4.5 sacks. And then Zach Myers, 55 tackles and 8.5 sacks on the season, a defensive lineman, as well as Jaron Foster, 53 tackles, Nate Swafford, 49 tackles, and Brody Patterson, a defensive back, with 47 tackles on the season. Garrett Finley, a factor in the defense as well, with 2.5 sacks on the season. And ever since they changed this format of the NAIA stat website, it's been kind of hard to see. It doesn't look like Evangel's defense has any interceptions. I don't know if that's correct, but that's what's listed on the stat sheet here.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
I don't know if that's exact or not, but that would be really impressive to be 10-0 and not intercept a football the whole season.
Yeah.
I'll put up the flag on that one, the red flag on that, to see if that's exact or not. But Hester is definitely a factor in the special teams as well. In the kick return game and as well as receiving. I mean, he has 1,000 all-purpose yards. He's wearing number 4, a redshirt sophomore receiver. So if you go to the game or watch the broadcast, you can catch and see what he does there for them. He has quite a few kick returns on the year. They don't get a lot of kick returns because if you look at it, they have 22 on the season in 10 games.
Yeah.
I mean, that means teams are not scoring very much against them at all. I mean, that's 2 per game probably. Yeah. And so that's insane because if you give him more return opportunities, I'm sure he would take some to the house. But has some good returns on the year as well in the return game, and just 8 punt returns from their team this year. I don't know how correct that is as well, but interesting factor for the Valor. They have a good punter as well as Ryan Connor. He has 40 punts, 18 inside the 20 this year, and they protect him pretty well. And then their kicker, as far as place kicking goes, is 32. Jonah Edwards, a junior kicker for them, 8 of 12 from field goal range, along of 42 yards, and he has only missed 2 extra points on the year to accumulate 57 points for the Valor in the kicking game side of things. Their defense is probably their strongest suit. I mean, no question, they've held teams to very small tallies this year in the KCAC. Been in a lot of tight games, whether it was last week against Southwestern and a few other games as well. I think Tabor was a close one as well, but the defense only giving up 12 points per game, 117 yards passing, and 124 yards on the ground to opponents this year, the Valor. No question. So, they defensively, they're a very tough team. They're very sound. You guys are going to have to figure out some things to kind of stump a very, very solid defense, and it'll be a tall task for you guys. Yeah,
definitely will, but it's one we're up for, man. We just, I don't think there's a better opponent to finish the season with, if you ask me. Mm-hmm. Because we're hoping to to play our best game. This is the last regular season game, most likely the last game of the season, and we just want to play our best, man. We want to put a good show out there, and what an opportunity for the last game here, the last season game. What an opportunity! You're playing the highest ranked team in the conference, a team that hasn't lost to anyone else in the conference. There's a lot on the line for us and other schools as well. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, man, let's just go out. Let's just go out with a bang.
Yeah, somebody's got to win the game, basically.
Us.
Yeah, and I mean, you've seen stranger things happen, not in sports where somebody goes in and everybody's, coverage may be from the press may be dismissive or whatsoever about a team going in and playing you can use whatever adjective you want, a juggernaut, a Goliath type figure in the conference this year. But it'll be interesting to see. You definitely bring in your mentality with your team that, hey, it's another team on the schedule, and we have to go out there with the mindset that you can hang in the game and you can definitely take it.
Yeah, I don't even think honestly, I think we're going in with a way different mindset of just hanging in the game. Like, I know they're a very, very good football team, and here's the thing, man. If they're gonna beat us, they're gonna have to beat us. You know what I mean? Like, we're coming to play. That's it. Like, we're coming to play, and we have expectations, and we're gonna do everything we can to meet those expectations. You know what I mean? In the game, man, we really are. We're coming to play. I promise you this. We ain't taking this one laying down. It's been an up and down season. For senior day being robbed, dropping crazy last second games, no respect and any kind of ranking consideration, just all this stuff, man, just all the craziness. No, man, no, sir. It's time to show who Bethel College football really is. You know what I mean, and who we've been, and should have been all season long, but for whatever reason, you got to take the cricket with the straights. It don't always happen that way, but this game right here, man, we're coming with everything we got. Like, and so not being conservative at all, because we're not trying to win the game. We're trying to win by a lot. You know what I mean? And you don't do that by trying to go in and hang with them or anything like that, man. We're going in with the mindset that we're gonna go in here and we're about to stun them and take care of business. And then if it doesn't happen and we'll find ourselves, in a dogfight, then the goal, the goal can change during the game. But it definitely not how we're going in there. We're not going in with the faceless opponent attitude, really. We're not going in with the hang in there, play them like everybody else. We're going in like, nah, we know exactly who you are, and we wanna show you who we are. You know what I mean? That's really the mentality, and the guys know it, man. You can just feel it. Practice was a little, it was a little chippy today, probably a little bit more than usual. But what I tell these guys all the time, things don't grow in dry dirt. They don't grow in dry dirt. Everybody knows the task at hand, and everybody has the same attitude. Like, all right, let's go do it. Let's go do it. There's no need to talk about it, for the sake of the show. We talking about it.
Yeah.
But after this, man, it's all business. We're gonna go with everything we got, and we'll talk about it next week.
That's right. As the Threshers play their final regular season game against the Evangel Valor, again at 1 o'clock kickoff on the KCAC network. I will not actually be there this week. This is going to be the first football game I have missed since I've been here.
Oh man, Dan!
In 5 seasons. In 5 seasons, it's gonna be weird, but I have responsibilities other places. But hey, on Saturday I'm gonna get to call some Thresher basketball as well as they return home, and the men's team just got a huge win.
That's awesome.
This week, and I have to say this week because we're recording this on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And they just got a big win against Mid-America Christian, 51-49.
Good deal.
But yeah, it should be interesting to follow the first ever. I don't know if it's the first ever. It's first in memory Bethel Classic that they're getting some extra home games, because there's been so many times the basketball teams haven't played enough non-conference home games.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
This year that they're trying to get that as well. But so many things happening for Bethel athletics. It's not only that, the Bethel volleyball team competing in the KCAC tournament at the Hutchinson Sports Arena.
We'll be following that for sure.
Yeah, and they got the 3 seed, and it's going to be tough because if they can get past their first round opponent, which could be Evangel, we'll see what happens. But a team that they took to 5 sets will be tough out of the quarterfinals, and then potentially a matchup against Kansas Wesleyan, who came in and just I believe swept them, and that's going to be tough.
Yeah.
For them to go, but nonetheless they've had a great season and would love to see them get into a field of 64 for the NAI volleyball opening round. So we'll be following that from afar as well, but go to BethelThreshers.com when the weekend is said and done for all the details on that, and it should be exciting for Bethel Athletics as the fall season kind of comes to an end and winter season kind of gets amped up. And if you say winter season, you think about the basketball teams at indoor track and the competitive cheer and competitive dance. They get ready for to be on their stage as well. So exciting to see from Bethel College. So interesting factor there. Well, Coach, we talked about the football game quite a bit. We've talked about what Evangel can do and what they are and what they brought to this conference. It's been interesting to follow. I really felt like at some point this year they were going to maybe stumble in a game. I really felt like early on that this was going to be a conference that just beats each other up, and it's going to be who looks the prettiest, I guess, after getting in a fight is the team that represents. But it has been a crazy year to follow nonetheless. If you would have told me at the beginning of the year that Ottawa would be representing the Bissell division, I don't know how much I would have believed that necessarily, because I can't remember what they were picked, maybe 3rd or 4th in their division preseason. You guys, of course, 3rd preseason in your division, and but yeah, it's interesting to follow this year, and it's been crazy. It's been a crazy 11 weeks, but we'll talk about that more next week in our season wrap-up show. As far as the regular season goes, should be interesting to see what the final details are and what the NAI playoffs, what they get set up to be like, because we know who all the heavy hitters are, but we want to see the matchups and maybe some potential for some parity at the national scale of things. But it has been a definitely testing season for Thresher football this year. 6-4 going into their final regular season game against Evangel. So, Coach, any final thoughts on this show before we wrap it up and we send you off to Nixon, Missouri?
Well, man, I love doing this and what you do and what you bring to the fans, the parents, the people who watch. I think this is awesome, and I hope that the viewers definitely appreciate a look inside of what we're thinking going into the week, and definitely hearing the different players called out for their good things, and but really I just love opportunities to witness to people. And I feel like this is also a platform to do that, even if it's just for a snippet of a second at the end of the show, just telling people, how strong, how passionate I am about, witnessing and, my love for Jesus and my family and this program. At the end of the day, man, everything we do, man, is to shine a positive light, on Christ and definitely on our families in this program. And hopefully we've done that. It definitely is our hope that we do that. So hopefully we've done that when you guys are watching week in and week out, whether it's live or online. Hopefully you see what you see out there is something that you're proud to represent this great institution. That's Bethel College. So Dan, definitely appreciate everything you do, man. Want to say that we as much as I can, because sometimes it's like coaching. People doing the media stuff is a thankless job, right? Sure. They think it's just your job to critique stuff or to hype it up or whatever the case may be, man. But I know your heart behind it. I know how much you care about these kids and how you do all this stuff, at your own time, coming from work, and just to make sure that we put something out for them to make those memories like you always talk about. So thank you.
Yeah, big time experience. What did Tony Hoops used to say? And make it the best experience possible for them.
Yeah, for sure.
Everything that we can within our abilities to make it that kind of experience for them, and that's what I've always had in mind. A couple of things I guess I'll wrap up the show with. There's been I've been exercising quite a bit this year, and running like 2 miles a day, 4 days a week kind of thing. So, but in that time, I get to listen to some great speakers, biblical, people that really go to the Word to kind of bring out message and kind of inspire people. Our pastor, Landon Jordan, is one of them. But guys like Craig Rochelle, Andy Stanley, and I was thinking about something that we're talking about, two different situations that were almost a test of faith situations in the Scripture, and one of them is when Jesus departs from Lazarus' home and everything, and they treat him well, and he gets 2 days away, and he finds out that Lazarus passed away, and everybody he's sick and he's on the verge of death and kind of things, and everything, people are really worried, and so they send a servant out to come and get him, and he said he doesn't come immediately with them, and so I'm sure they, as it talks about in the text, he feels they may feel scorned and everything, but he used that opportunity to go back and make a spectacle of his ability and what he can do in the lives of anyone. And not only that, there was another piece of a story. It's talking about he and John the Baptist, of course, were cousins, right? And John the Baptist, baptized him, and from the heavens. In the Bible, it talks about God says, "This is my son." It's kind of a situation, but you don't really hear much after that about John the Baptist. But he was imprisoned.
Yeah.
And everything for his beliefs and being an advocate for his faith, things like that. And there's so many times where he would send his people to find out what's happening on Jesus's front, and it was really a test of faith for him.
Yeah, for sure.
Because how does he keep himself right in that situation and keep himself faithful? And to a person that presented Jesus to the world,
right.
the world, as far as that goes. And I think there's so many life parallels in those two passages from the Bible, and you can read into that any way you want. They really spoke to me because there's so many times where we don't really see that something's happening that's empowering other people, that is really speaking to them. And so there might be some grim times where you feel at your lowest, and I mean, as much as some people can tell you to keep the faith, things like that, it's I think the feeling of community that makes that really happen.
Yeah. And
I've really appreciated the community for Thresher football, your coaches and your players this year, and it's been a year in and year out thing that I've always been grateful for. So I just wanted to leave with that piece of information, and I appreciate all of you watching. For the parents, I know some of you by name at this point, and still meeting some of the newer parents, and it had a great opportunity to speak with a few of them at the Bethany game and at the last home game as well. So it's been great this season, nonetheless, to build relationships with people despite what happens on the football field. And I know that's in the core of this program as well from your standpoint.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
It's definitely reciprocated across the board, in my opinion. But for this week's show and for Coach A.B. Stokes, thanks everybody for watching. It gets Bethel and Evangel 1 o'clock on the KCAC network. If you can't make it to Nixa, Missouri, stay tuned and for that. And for all of us here at Bethel College Football, I'm Dan Page, telling you to just roll on.